a lot of changes. For some of us who've gone home for a while, you will see changes. And you could see that exactly what we are trying to do here will be realized in the near future. But I wish he was here. I would have asked him to do a few things. Number one, to work through the alumni of Maritime Academy and harness very, very important prospects in the UK. What I mean by that is there are lots of Nigerians who have studied here, who have done all sorts of degrees and all that. I expect during time for maybe employment opportunities and all that, they should do that through the alumni. And that will really help in shaping the future of Maritime Academy of Oron. Again, I wish he was here. I would have asked him. The Maritime Academy of Oron is in the host state of Akwa Ibom. Now, what are those measures that they have put in place to work together with the stakeholders, especially the local people? Because some time ago, I think there were some problems between the local people and the academy. So what are those areas of concern that they've taken on board? And also, what are their relationships with the Ibaka seaport, which is one of the deepest seaports to be seen in the Gulf of Guinea, which is the most transformed state in Nigeria. And I would like to suggest this. I would suggest, please, that all the investors here shouldn't see Nigeria probably as a place that business cannot thrive. A lot of things are going on. Business is really good. In short, Nigeria is a destiny, the final destination for all investors. So please channel my questions as well, and also take on board. Come to Nigeria, invest in Nigeria. We are the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for your question.
Thank you. My name is Oron Alumni from Nigerian Ports Authority. I'm with the Security Division in the Export with Port Facility Security Officer. Also, of your lecture, you mentioned that BNP4 is not applicable in the Gulf of Guinea or like the Gulf of Haiti. We recommended that the BNP3 or 4, whichever the vessels applying, they apply in the Gulf of Guinea as well. I want you to just expatiate and explain why you think that the BNP4 is not applicable in the Gulf of Guinea. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. It's an interesting question. It's one that we've developed an understanding over the last 6 to 12 months. The reason why it's so different is because on a daily basis, the ships that are going into the Gulf of Guinea are mainly conducting ship-to-ship transfers, going to anchorages and waiting for further directions to go to the FPSOs and various other facilities. So the implementation of hardening measures, for example, in BNP4, it's very, very difficult to implement those practices on an hourly or a daily basis. So it's trying to affect the best onion layer system that can be applied to that ship. And we can do it in different ways in the Gulf of Guinea. I don't think, what I didn't say was that BNP4 doesn't apply. I think that there are elements of it that are not necessarily the best way of doing business. And an upgrade for BNP4, it still should be used, it's still a good tool, and it's good recommendations. And the foundations and the basics are still good. It could be just upgraded and updated a little for the Gulf of Guinea specifically, and to assist in different ways of how you could implement hardened measures. The citadel procedures, for example, may not necessarily be the best way to do it in the Gulf of Guinea. So it just needs to be approached, I believe, in a different way on some aspects, not all, but on some.
Thank you.
Our next question, please.
My name is in one case, there must be taking, they are not aquatic. They are human beings, they take off from land, come to sea, do their job and go back. I just want to understand if anybody has ever thought of, buying the arms and things, intelligence network to know where these people take off from. You don't have to leave it in the board. This is exactly what I want to ask.
I think we understand the question correctly. The question is asking whether we can identify where the threats are coming from on land. And I think the answer to that is, at the moment, there's no passage of information or formal process where if any of the captains or any security companies or the various agencies that are operating in all the areas, if you were to ask us who do we report to or who should we pass on this information to, we've got no clear direction of who that agency is at this moment in time. So passing from Togo, Benin, Ivory Coast, we're going through those different locations. There's no central effort or central regional centre for us to give them the information and then for them to coordinate it and then disseminate it correctly to the people that need that information. And as always, intelligence is only as good as the information that is passed out or what we can do from it. And at the moment, there's a lot of information there, but it's just not being coordinated correctly. And I think if we can have something which is the same or equivalent of UKMTO and MSCOA in the Gulf of Guinea region, providing us all the stakeholders with the information that we need, we can react and respond to the threats in a better way.
Mike, thank you very much for that, and also thank you for the earlier question about BMP4. I've got right to one of my questions now, but now you've asked it. Thank you very much. Now, I know in the audience we have Peter Cook, who is the founder and runs SAMI, the Professional Trade Association, private maritime security companies. I'll give him the opportunity to say yes or to decline if there's anything you want to add to the issues relating to the complexity of security in West Africa whilst we're on the subject.
Thanks, Ross. I know that often people are working very hard to establish a communication focal point in Accra, in Ghana, that hopefully will do a similar function and role to that of UKMTO, but it won't be established by armed forces of any one country. It will be centrally run and more on a commercial basis, because one of the problems with information going into either MSC-HOA or UKMTO is that if that information is then processed by NATO or any one of the member states, it then is classified and then can't necessarily be pushed out again. However, with it being a commercial entity, it may be better to process and thereby allow all the stakeholders to get that information. To look at the Gulf of Guinea from a security perspective, it is without a shadow of a doubt far more complex than the situation of Somalia is, largely because, as was mentioned earlier on, the vast majority of incidents are happening within territorial waters, whereas in the northwest Indian Ocean they're happening on the high seas, and so that does make it a lot more complex. And I don't think that we have got any one solution yet. I think we're still waiting to find a solution. And it is really, hopefully, with the new code of conduct that has been formulated and signed, as we were told by the IMO earlier on today, that will begin as a foundation block for the way in which we can start to coordinate things and hopefully defeat pirates, because pirates are only common criminals. And if you make it too hard for them to achieve their aim, they'll go off and do something else. So for the sake of the seafarer, let's make it as hard as we possibly can for them to achieve their aim, and do it another way. And whilst I agree completely with what Mike said, that we're not getting a full picture of what's happening in the northwest Indian Ocean, the private maritime security industries, along with the MP4 and the naval forces, have certainly changed the level of success that pirates off the east coast are having. So if we can find a way of taking that formula, adapting it and bringing it to life in the Gulf of Guinea, then hopefully that will protect our seafarers.
Peter, thank you very much indeed for talking us through that, and it is a more complex situation in West Africa. maritime industry needs the support of each of the West African countries involved, because after all, it's your trade and your livelihood that's being affected as well as our mutual seafarers. Who's got a question? One of our friends, the organisers at the back of the room. I hope it's not going to be a really difficult one.
Good afternoon. My name is Anyaka. My question is for Mr. Graham. Iron shoes. From your research, what is the principal cost of iron on ships? And what's being done to prevent this kind of things happening? I mean, surely it cannot be right for you to have 300 other people being killed almost every 2-3 years.
Thank you for your question. I'll sort of answer it indirectly. It's complacency, that's one. Too much reliance on technology, detection systems and alarms going off. Traditionally, when I first went to sea, we didn't have automated ships. Everything was manual, almost everything, except the light switch, where you actually had a switch. There's far too much reliance on detection systems, and then by then it's too late. By the time something has been detected, the fire's already occurred. It's good practices on board ship, good training, good watchkeeping, using the senses, the eyes, ears, touch, feel. This is what we were taught when we were young engineers and cadets. This seems to be lacking in sort of younger breed that's going out to sea. They sit in the control room or sit on the bridge, which they're not supposed to, and fall asleep. They wait for the alarms to go off. Anything can catch fire. If you look at the old American ships, they were almost like skeletons. There was almost no insulation, no carpets, etc. There was very little catch fire except the paint. But if you go on a modern passenger ship, it's like a modern hotel. Just use common sense. There's so much of inflammable materials here. Even though they have certificates that say they're not inflammable, don't believe the certificate. Test it on yourself. Set it on fire and see if it catches fire. Do it in the garden in a safe, preferably in your neighbor's garden. Shouldn't say that, but a lot of it is common sense and complacency. Virtually anything can catch fires, and now with high voltage, that's another source of fires. I hope it's answered your question somewhat. There's no particular item. If you want a copy of my PowerPoint, I've got some explanation, some criteria, and some areas which will help. Email me and I'll send it to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question.
It's a very good question. Thank you very much indeed. And I have to say, from personal experience, there was a fire in the shop underneath my office in Chiswick a few years ago. And I'm very thankful I've been through the firefighting training as part of my seafaring training. As I went through the building very rapidly, closing doors and windows, and finding myself sitting on the apex of the roof, using my mobile phone on the phone to the Chiswick Fire Brigade to come and get me. Thankfully, they were there very quickly, within 10 minutes. The only problem was the ladder wasn't long enough. So. Right, we've got time for one more question. You're looking a bit tired. You deserve a break. We've got to the end of the day. But I'll give you the chance for one more question before we wrap things up. Okay, well listen, I don't know about you, but I think it's been a fascinating day. We've had some very interesting speakers. We've covered a wide range of things. It's so good to hear about the passion for the Maritime Academy and the Oron Alumni. It's so important that that you do these things, and a university is often only as good as its alumni, because they're the ones that help you move forward, can come back and provide mentoring and certainly a network for finding jobs, which is really important when you leave a university. And I've seen these alumni work in the maritime colleges here in the UK, and Plymouth in particular has got a very good network called PINDA. And I'm sure the UK maritime colleges would be delighted to talk to you and work with you and see how you can all collaborate together. The quality of the speeches today has been excellent, and those of us that have been in an industry a long time have still managed to learn a lot today. That's how informative it's been, so well done to the organisers in choosing the topics for the speakers today. In a minute I'm going to hand over for some housekeeping to my colleagues here, but before I do, I think it's very important that we thank all of our speakers today, in particular the ones this afternoon, Mr. Mike Williams, Nick Hazlitt-Beard, and the presentation on fire, Peter Pilar. They were all very excellent presentations. Well done. You survived the first day. You survived the rain. I didn't see you, Karen. Sadly, I'll be seeing Karen back again tomorrow morning, and I hope you have a very good evening.
Yes.
Okay, just before we leave, I want to say thank you again. It's been our pleasure and our honor. We will just remind all the investors here with us that still have not made their intention known. The meetings are still in for Sunday with the stakeholders. Nigeria is open for business in the maritime sector. Be part of it. Please contact the chairman of the Alumni Europe, Maurice Asukwo, or send us the email via summit2013@manaronalumni.org, same as you've been using, and we can facilitate that. Yeah. Do not forget the boat trip on Sunday afternoon. We have some exciting prizes for you to win. There are raffle tickets going on. As you leave tonight, have some sleep. Make sure you are back in tomorrow in the morning. We have some more exciting things for you. In the evening, there is gala night for us all. It's the closing of the event. Thank you on behalf of the alumni of Maritime Academy of Nigeria. Thank you.
I think I'm giving you. Oh, yeah,